Alright, what is up, Worlds? Ninja Turtle here, and today we are covering Jessica Cruz again as a custom figure. However, this one's very special because this is not supposed to be or meant to be the comic book version of Jessica Cruz Green Lantern. No, this is actually based off of a real life human being, oxygen breathing, red blood pumping human person that is real cosplaying as Jessica Cruz. So the cosplayer's name is Sara Moni, or Sara Moni Cosplay. She's one of my favorite cosplayers, if not my favorite cosplayer, and she debuted her cosplay as Jessica Cruz about a little over a year ago, I would say. And I made that into an action figure because, again, I'm a big fan. So this is a different build almost entirely from my comic book Jessica Cruz custom figure. So we got to talk about it at length. So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, then this would be a more detailed of where these parts and pieces came from, in particular, and what was made, what was not made, and so on, so you can see what I did. For anyone interested, and maybe you want to make your own Sara Moni Jessica Cruz, or just in general, if you're interested, how did I make this? So let's go ahead and start. Actually, just like I did my last Jessica Cruz, let's start with the face, because Sarah decided to go with the black hair, as I had previously mentioned, and we'll get into the direct comparisons later. That I went with mine to be brown hair, so it's nice having that contrast. By the way, I will have contrast because this particular figure will go to Sarah. I have a second one that I made at the same time that I'm keeping for myself. So I'm going to have a Sarah cosplaying Jessica Cruz with black hair, and then have a Jessica Cruz with brown hair. So I'll have some kind of contrast in there in particular. So that's that. We'll come back to the head, so we can talk more at length about that. But in Sarah's cosplay of Jessica Cruz, she wore heels. So Jessica Cruz usually wears flats, but Sarah wore booted heels up to her calf. So the actual heels themselves are just your standard Hasbro heels. I got them from a Shikla figure. That's what this is, a Shikla. And then they were just primed and painted white. The white doesn't look like super clean. It's not like super bright white, but there's multiple coats of white on there. Did my best to get it as white as possible. Same thing with the actual thigh part on the boots. That was also black before. And just to get into the rest of her legs, so these entire legs here, the thighs, the hips, and then the boots and stuff, all are from the Retro Storm. I'm not going to put her down because I don't want to knock over Jessica there, or Sarah. It being Hasbro heels, they're very, very difficult to get a figure to stand up in general. Then there's another problem, which I will get into in a second. But yeah, these legs are from the Retro Storm, so the Punk Storm. They already have the sculpted boots on there, the cloth ripples on there, and so on. These legs are already black, although the black paint is much darker than the black plastic. So it was repainted, so all of the black that I painted on would match all together. So let's talk about the legs. So she is standing. She is capable of standing in these heels. It is possible, but it is very, very difficult because of, one, the heels are notoriously bad from Hasbro for making or having figures stand up. They're not good, but it is possible if you have enough skill and luck to get it to work. But the other problem is this torso, the lower torso, is a bodysuit torso, in particular from a Black Cat, the newer Black Cat, all new, all different, I believe would be the designation. But it is that. It was repainted black, so it's a little darker, and then added the green detail, yada yada. However, the pin on the inside needed to be swapped so that these legs would actually attach to it. So, long story short, if you leave it default, these legs they'll clip on, they'll attach on, but they'll be very loose. They just won't fit that pin. It's just not big enough to fit the socket for these thighs. So it need to be switched out for, and I ended up switching it out for the same pin that it came from, which was also again the Storm. So a lot of pin switching here. Sad to report though, these legs, now that I've done that, they don't split. So what do I mean by that? So actually, I'm not going to touch this Sara, but I do have mine, which we'll talk about the hair on this one later. But it has the same exact build, and these legs, they do not split, not very well. Like they do, but they don't. Actually, this is the most split I've actually gotten them. But yeah, this is what happens. It's just they don't split very well. They're not good. They're very, very tight. It's like this should be easy to do. It's actually difficult for me to split it this much. So it's just not enough room in there for that piece because it wasn't meant to house these legs. So the legs don't split very much. So it makes posing and standing very difficult, though possible. But again, you're not going to get much of a split on this at all. Which is something I should have tested ahead of time. This was a last minute switch as far as using this particular body mold and this build. It was a last minute switch. I didn't test it ahead of time, so that's all my fault. The next time I do this, will use this build or do something for Sara, it will be different. But that is caution for anyone trying to do this. There's a lot of pin switching necessary, and if you're going to use this exact build, and you ended up getting some very, very, very tight thighs. See, it's just pulling apart now. But pretty much no splits are possible here. All right, back at it. The arms are also from that same Black Cat figure that are just repainted. Because again, that Black Cat figure is got like a charcoalish gray color on the arms themselves, so it was repainted black, and then we have the green up here on the shoulders, and the arms also painted with the white. Now everything is painted on. There is no sculpt, no additional sculpt I should say. So all of the fabric ripples that are on the torso, the arms and stuff, that is just how those arms look, and they're just repainted. She was wearing a body suit that was like fully done, so there's no additional like bumps or any additional armor pieces or anything like that. So I made sure that all of this was just fully painted on, including the chest symbol. So that's just there. Now the fun part of this, which I really enjoyed, that I was able to do this in particular for Sara. So I have, like I said, I have 2 copies. She's a big X-Men fan, and I love that I was able to use Storm legs for her build. But also, now this is Blink here. Blink, I use this same sculpted top. So this is Blink, but that Blink top is on my Jessica Cruz, on this one. I used a Blink one on this figure. On this one that's going to Sara is actually a Psylocke top, which is the exact same sculpt, it's the exact same build, but I did sacrifice my own personal Psylocke to make this one. And so she's a huge Psylocke fan, so I was really happy that, okay, she's also a huge Storm fan, so Storm legs and a Psylocke torso to make this Jessica Cruz Sara. So I thought it was really cool. She's getting Psylocke and Jessica Cruz, or Psylocke and Storm in her build. Mine has the Blink top. They're the same thing. It really doesn't matter, but you know, more of a personal thing, I guess. All right. As far as the rest of this build goes, we have the hair and the face. The hair is Songbird, which again, going back to mine. So I didn't really do a good job of shaping the head on particularly this one, both of them really, but I didn't do a great job of shaping it so it could be ready to fit the Songbird hair. This one I was able to get glued on, and I'm glad, but it's not perfectly glued on. This one I tried gluing it on and it just wouldn't take, so I have to try it again. I need to make it a little bigger. You see it's all shiny because that's the super glue that dried on there, but the hair didn't stick, so I'll have to try it again on mine. I'll have to work on that at some point in the next week or so. But again, I was able to get hers on there. It may not be on there very well, but it is Songbird's hair. And then the head is also another special thing. So again, this is based off a real human being, so not someone that Hasbro got scanned in, digitalized and stuff. So I had to try to figure out whose face out of all of the faces available looks closest to Sarah's. And this is actually a Mary Jane head, specifically from the Spider-Man Mary Jane 2-pack, that Mary Jane head, which is pretty hard to find. And at this point I have already replaced my head on my MJ with the newer MJ head, so this was already just fodder, or I was going to sell it. And I think after all of that, I think I did get a good match. This head looks pretty good for Sarah, especially changing the flesh tone over. Actually two great things about using that Mary Jane head is that the eyes on Mary Jane were already green, so I didn't have to paint that whatsoever. That's just a bonus, like to have the factory eye color there, so I don't have to make it look all janky and make mistakes with painting eyes. As well as the lip color. This is the factory lip color on that Mary Jane, and it works perfectly for Sarah's lip color in her cosplay. So I just ended up just removing the paint on the right eye so we can get that really cool effect that she just actually did not that long ago when she posted on IG. She painted she has like a contact in there and then painted the eye effect over there. So that's a real recent thing that she did, and it's really cool. I was glad I was able to throw that in here last minute and make her look like this. So that's it for this build. And I really don't have any other comparisons to do because this is the first time I've ever made a custom based off a real human, so there's no other comparisons other than I guess we can compare her to the actual full figure of Jessica Cruz, which I'm just gonna hold right now. Let's put it over here. Hopefully she doesn't knock her over. Please don't. There we go. So yeah, there's these two. They are different builds. If you're interested in how I built this one, there's a separate video for that. I'll link that with the card. But yes, they're two different builds. She's a little darker skinned. She's got the brown hair, and she's a lot taller. Sarah's got more cloth fabric, ripples all in the legs and also in the torso. Got the eye effect that's a little bit bigger on her, and this one's a little bit smaller, etc., etc. So that's, for the most part, all that's there. I did include, which I haven't said this to Sarah, I haven't included it in pictures yet, and I'm not going to touch this, but I am including this power battery to give to this Sarah figure, so she'll be able to hold on to a power battery in her left hand just like mine. It'll just be a lighter green version because that's what I have. I have just these, the only two green ones that I got, but she'll get this one. And then oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the power ring. So just like the other Jessica Cruz, I made those power rings myself. Just took a little piece of plastic and dremelled a small hole in there and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife. glued it onto a fist. The fist itself is actually something worth talking about because fists are a little hard to find with Marvel Legends, and it is from an X-23 figure. So normally you would think it's a smaller figure. It should have smaller arms and smaller smaller hands, and it does, except for the fists. The fists are about as full size as the fist on this Jessica Cruz. Again, I don't know where this fist came from. I honestly don't know, but this one is from X-23, so it is about the same size. I had to fill in the holes for the claws with some epoxy sculpt so she won't have claw holes in her knuckles, and then yeah, just glued the little piece that I made for the power ring, and that's it. That's Jessica Cruz. It was really fun. I'm really excited to give this to Sara. This is a gift. This is not commissioned, by the way. I do not take commissions. This was not a commission for her. She didn't ask me for this. This is just something that I wanted to do on my own, and I'm more than happy to send this out to her. Again, in the future, I do not take commissions. I do plan on making more figures based off of Sara's cosplays. I don't know which ones. Well, actually, I do know which ones, but I will not say which ones just yet, or when I'm going to get to them. It might be a few months from now. I'm just going to wait a little while. And then I do want to do other cosplayers as well. I'm not going to say who I have in mind yet for that, because I still need to figure out what heads would be a good match for those cosplayers. Because again, this is not modeled to be Sara. This is Mary Jane, and I adapted it to be Sara, and I think it's a good adaptation. I have to figure out that for other cosplayers too. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I do have another DC custom made action figure video coming up very soon. About to record it right now. Very excited to show you that. And then more customs will be on the way. Just make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button and share this video with your friends. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.